Talk. We're going live tonight on YouTube and on Facebook. And a little something new, we're also cross-posting. So if you follow the Vintage Decor on Facebook, and if you follow workshops at Le Vintage Decor on Facebook, or if you follow, we're broadcasting on both of those pages tonight. So, welcome into this Tuesday talk between Christmas and New Year's. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, and I'm wishing you the best in the new year, of course. So, what we're doing tonight is glamming up a suitcase. So, I have this here. So, this is my suitcase, and I've already put a coat of paint, well, a couple coats of paint actually on this side, but I'm going to show you a couple prep steps. But we're going to be using some beautiful bells and whistles line. We're going to use the stencil. Hello, Chasing Sunshine by Veronica. How are you, girl? We're using the Lotus Bloom. Yeah, feel free to say hi when you pop on. Yeah, I am like a kid with a new toy. I haven't used this yet. And we're also using the Flower Child transfer. And this is inspired by Leah Noel or Noel. And the Lotus Bloom is inspired by Foff Designs. So, gosh, I ate so many cookies. I don't even want to talk about that part. Oh my. But anyway, it's cookie season. So I'm just going to show you a couple prep steps that we did on the back here. So these suitcases, these vintage suitcases are, wood, but they get little chips in them. They have like a coating on them. It's I guess a leather coating, but I'm using Dixie Belle's mud, and I'm just using my finger, which you probably shouldn't, but it's just such a little bit. I'm just putting a little bit in there just to even out the surface there. Should use a little spatula, but sometimes just like to get in there with your fingers. So, good little tip with this stuff. You always want to wipe it off before you rinse it down your drain, because this will harden in your drain just like it's going to harden here. So, so let's switch this over here and look at this side. Okay, so this has already been given 2 coats of Sun-Kissed. This is the silk paint, and I've used this color before and I just love it. I used it on a sunflower dresser. So let's get started glamming this up. We're going to use aubergine, and we are going to use flamingo, and we're going to use gemstone mousse and golden gem. So let's get some tape on this and line it up and get this stencil started first. So we're going to do the stencil, and then we're going to do a little overlap with the transfer. So I'm going to try to do everything so I don't have to put the screen down tonight. But so there's a little design at the top. There's 2 different ones. And I'm going to actually just kind of bring it down to the second design and let the other one just kind of up there on that row of stitches. So I'm going to put my tape over here and get another piece. So pro tip that I didn't follow, get your tape ready first. Okay. So for those of you who are watching on Facebook, and if you're watching on the workshops at Le Vintage Decor page, let me know in the comments if you think that this would be a good workshop. We could do a BYOS, bring your own suitcase. We can make it bring your own BYOB for bring your own bag. How's that? But I'm getting a little bit of tape on here because I just, this part up here, I'm going to kind of probably have to hold it down, but let's go ahead and get started. So I think what we'll do is use the aubergine in the center of this flower. Now I'm testing out some new stencil brushes. These are from Michaels. They're just, I've never seen a kind of an oval tip on a stencil brush. So I'm trying that out. Hi, Martian. Okay, so we're just going to use a little bit of paint on there. And you know, when people mess up stencils, the biggest problem is they don't offload the paint. So when I say offload the paint, we're going to take and get rid of a lot of it. Okay, so we don't want much paint on that brush. So I'm just going to press this down and start in the center. And I'm kind of going to blend these colors together a little bit. We'll do all the centers. You know, all you need is what's in the top of your cap here. Okay, so I'm just going to do the centers in the aubergine. I love this design because it's kind of boho, but it also kind of reminds me of a little bit of a Moroccan feel to it. So I just love it. I think it's really pretty. So remember to offload as much paint as you can. And you can either pounce like that, or you can just swirl, which I'm doing, so my dog doesn't think there's someone at my door. Okay, so that's good enough for that. Now we're going to open the flamingo. The reason I chose these colors is because they're kind of prominent in the transfer that we're going to be using. Okay, so this brush is a little bit bigger. Dip in, and again, we're going to offload some of that paint. Okay. Still holding the stencil down. Like I said, we're just kind of blend a little bit. I'm going to go over that purple a little, and then go up into my petals. I love these colors together. They're, I think, pretty delicious together. And I think it's really going to look cool when we get some gold with it, and also that transfer on there. I can't wait to peel this back, but we're going to have to be patient. Okay, so we got our first flower done. Let's move on to our second one. Mary Beth, you love aubergine. Oh, yeah. I love all the purples. Not a color I really use in my home, but definitely love. So a suitcase like this would be fun for a bridal shower, or you can use it for home decor. It would be great for, you know, just a wedding to put cards in, to give someone a gift in. Got such a pleasant surprise today when I opened this suitcase. It had a vintage purse and hat in it. So that was a really nice surprise. So again, I'm just kind of using a swirling motion. And the reason you want to get most of that paint off is so that the paint does not get underneath the stencil. This will give you a real crisp image if you make sure you offload most of that paint. Okay, so I'm Kind of starting again over on the aubergine, kind of blending those two together a little bit. And we'll do this whole stencil before we pick up the stencil and move it to finish it. Ooh, I don't want to do that. I want that to be gold. Don't you just want to peek? I know I do. Those colors go beautifully together. Thank you, Dina. Yeah, I think they do too. And like I said, this transfer is really going to marry them. So, okay, so the gold gemstone mousse, then the golden gem, I think they reformulated it because it's saying shake it, and it's a lot more liquidy to me than it used to be. But again, we're not going to use much. Find the right brush here. So again, we're using another stencil brush, and too much paint on there. We're going to offload some of it. It's going to be gorgeous. Okay, so I'm going to hold this stencil down. I want to do all these little beads up at the top. Okay, I'm not getting in there good. There we go. Just going the whole way over with this. And that little bit of paint goes such a long way. Okay, and I'm just leaving that stitch area alone. I'm not painting that part. My dog's making weird noises in there, so if you hear anything, that's what's going on. Okay, so these little areas here, we want to do those in the gold. I was tempted to use the amber, but I think this is the winner for this one. I love stenciling with these gemstone colors, the mousse, because it's just such a great consistency. It's nice and thick. Hey, Kim. Thank you. All right. So if you're just tuning in, we are glamming up a suitcase, and we're using Sun-Kissed as our main color, Flamingo and Aubergine. We're using the Lotus Bloom stencil, and right now we're using Golden Gem Mousse, and we have a transfer coming up too. So action-packed. A lot going on in this little suitcase. I'll have to show you the inside of it too, because there's a lot of opportunity to really, it's pretty decent, but you know, it could use a little glamming up inside too. I will probably just put this for sale in my shop. I can't wait to pull up this stencil. You know, when you're using a stencil like this, now I'm obviously using a gold, but you can do like 2 different colors on there. If I wanted to, I could do a color in here and then just do like the edges in gold, so it would look like the light was hitting it. So there's so many different options. Now, if you are watching on the Facebook page, I'd love it if you hop on over to the YouTube channel after we're done and subscribe. That would be awesome. I think we need, I think like 5 or 6 more subscribers to get to 1,300. So I'm hoping to do that before New Year's. That would be awesome. And I will put my affiliate link in the description. And I'll put it in the comments of the Facebook video. And that's so if you're interested in any of the products, you can order directly from Dixie Belle, but using my affiliate link, I get a little kickback. So, all right, are you ready? Ready for this big reveal? I know I am. Oh, wow. Oh, I love it. What's that? Okay, it's just a piece of paper. I think that looks so pretty. Okay, let's carry on here. And we're going to match this up. So what I'm going to do is just go, let's see, how am I going to do this? Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, we're just going to cover over where we went last. That's generally called a registration mark. But in this case, it's just the end of the last stencil. I'm going to get another piece of tape up here since we don't have that one on the end anymore. Okay. All right, so back to our aubergine. And let me see, we'll probably just run this right off of the end there. And then maybe we'll see about doing a partial design over here. So I just wanted to, it's not going to be totally even, but I just want it to look right. So if we run it off both ends, it should be okay. Maybe I should have centered it and planned it a little better, but I did not. So, so we're just going to go with it. I don't know about you, but I usually find that whenever I do something, you know, wrong or something, hey Tamara, that it ends up looking okay anyway. So, does the mousse dry just as fast as the chalk mineral paint? Yes, it really does. It dries pretty quickly, especially when you've offloaded the paint. So I think it really dries fast. I know it's oil-based, but to me, it dries. Okay, so back in with the flamingo. And again, I'm blending it a little bit with the aubergine. I also love to say aubergine. Okay, so we're going to do that half flower over there. So like I was saying, you know, sometimes mistakes, so many times they're just like happy accidents because you just never know, you know, what's going to happen. Okay. I keep rubbing my hand. Did you ever, I get this little nerve that just kind of seizes up and it just kind of, I know, it's really weird. But anyway, sometimes when it happens, I just look at it because it just like sucks in my muscle. It's really weird. Okay. back to the top and our gold. Oh boy, I have my tape on there. So I kind of like these brushes. I wasn't sure what to expect about an oval head on these stencil brushes, but I like them. All right, so peel this back. There we go. I'm just gonna come back here and do just a little bit more on this side, just to show it kind of running off of the edge of the suitcase as well. I think that'll give it a more polished appearance. I'm gonna finish that gold in here. We won't need any aubergine. Well, I guess we need a little more flamingo on there. We really have to hold this down. To be careful because I don't want any of that paint to run underneath that stencil. Okay, we did get a little bit of paint run under the stencil. I say we, but it was me. But I'm just gonna take a little paper towel and wipe that back a little bit. Okay, what do you think? I'm loving the way it looks. Before I get the transfer on, I want to give that a minute to just kind of dry because I want to bring it up over it. But let's take a look at the transfers a second. And we can decide. I better put my brushes and cover my paint up. Be a good little paint mama and brush mama. I don't want everything drying up on me. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, is to clean off my paint jars before I put the lids on them. And not to let my brushes soak, to wash them out when I'm done. See if that lasts. How long that lasts. I just have this slop sink in my shop. And I have containers of water in there. And I just dump them in. And then when it's time, I wash brushes. Does anybody else do that? Show of hands. I can't see your hands, so you'll have to tell me. All right. So yeah, we're looking at this gorgeous transfer. So again, this one is inspired by Leah Noel, and this is the Flower Child. So not only do we have the Lotus Bloom, which is kind of boho, and the picture on here is really cool. So they have a piece of furniture that's black. I don't know if you can see that, okay? And the stencil is all done in pink. I think it's really pretty. And they used like a natural knob, like a wood knob. At first I thought it was gold, but I just wanted the gold to glam it up because we're also going to use the gemstone mousse, which is great on hardware. So we're going to use it on the suitcase hardware. So look at this. I love these transfers because they are numbered. So, so this one has a 1 up in the corner. And what's cool about it is, so you can match this So these two would match up together. I'm going to hold it the other way. These two would match up together. Okay. Now I'm going to probably save that for a bigger piece of furniture. But the same is on pages 3 and 4, and this one looks even bigger. So trying to hold it so you can see it, but this would make an even bigger design. But let's put some of the smaller designs out. I think this one is really, really cool. I was checking this one out. It has the butterfly, which we might actually cut that apart and make it even a little farther away, depending how it works out. But let's go ahead and cut this out and separate it from the rest of the design here. So this is on a white backing, but it's clear. I know a lot of you have used them before, but in case you haven't, then you know it's a clear background. So whatever beautiful paint colors you use, they're going to show through. So we also have like leaves left. So we're going to do a little decor on the side of the suitcase as well. So that'll be a good opportunity to use pieces like that. So let's see. So I think that's going to look cool down there. But I do want to separate this butterfly because I want it to kind of be a little more up into our stencil area. Okay, so let's get this over here. And I'm just going to feel this. You know what? That's not completely dry. Let's see how far our stencil will go up into, or our transfer goes into there. Yeah, I think we can avoid most of that. You know how when you're doing a live and you want to do the whole demo, you know, it kind of, sometimes you end up doing things that you shouldn't normally do, like let things dry longer. So, let me see. I think YouTube, I'm going to pull this camera down a little bit for you. And I think Facebook, I think you can see. All right. So I'm actually going to cut a little bit off of the bottom here because of the way this is positioned. I want to put it down as close to the bottom as possible. Okay, so I'm going to remove this backing now. This tends to want to curl up. You just want to be careful that you don't let that fold back on itself, because then you'll be in trouble. Okay, so I want to try to avoid going right over my design here. So for the most part, I think we're in a good position here. And we'll find out, because that's one of the ways that you find out when transfers don't stick. The worst, usually the common problem is that that you're putting it over wet paint. So all we're going to do is take the stick that comes with it and burnish our transfer down. There's where we might have a little trouble, but we look trouble in the eye. And if I'm shaking the camera, I apologize. I just love this coloring. So, so we got a little pink, we got a little purple in our flowers. Sometimes transfers go on super fast. You know, this suitcase has sort of a linen-y texture, so it's not super smooth. Generally, transfers will adhere better to smoother surfaces, although it'll totally adhere to this. As you see, it is. So it's kind of like what they call off-label use, but you can adhere them to glass and mirrors, so they just stick like crazy on glass. The only thing is, you should probably seal your transfers. I'll definitely follow up with a sealer on this. I'll probably use satin clear coat. But it's hard to seal it on a piece of glass or a mirror, so. You know what we're going to do is get rid of some of this plastic. It's a wonder I'm able to put transfers on, because that is like my biggest pet peeve, is the sound of crinkling paper and plastic. Oh, I hate it. So, just FYI, if you ever want to make me crazy, just rattle a wrapper of some sort. Okay, so that was the only place I was worried about, and it stuck over it, so I'm happy about that. So sometimes if you pull the transfer up and some of it doesn't stick, it's not a big deal. You just put it back down, rub over it again, and get the rest of it. Okay, we missed just a little bit in here. Make sure I have it lined up right, and down here. Okay. Look how pretty. Wouldn't have thought to put that stencil with that transfer, but it looks amazing. Oh, thank you, Kim. You're sweet. You know, Dee, that works in our shop, I should say worked, today was her last day. Very sad, but she was helping me pick this design out, and so it was one of those things, like, you know, I always like to kind of push it a little bit when we're picking things out. So so yeah, I just love these colors. So I'm gonna pull this back up a little bit so we can see each other. Okay, so don't forget about the butterfly. So I want him like up here, because it was down here. Let's just kind of engage this area up here. So let's do that. Because to me, I'm like usually an asymmetric person. So this kind of satisfies my asymmetry. This little guy. So, not sure what in-flight pose to use. Okay, here it raining again. So we're like have another winter storm warning up until 11. So I think it's going to be freezing rain. So if you live around here, we know that you know that the other day. So we did not have snow for Christmas, and then the other day we were supposed to get an inch of snow, and we got about 3 inches of snow. Oh, I like that. I really like that because that pulled just a little bit of that. I'll bring this over closer so you can see. I just really like that butterfly on there. Okay. I'm gonna take one of these smaller. I know a feather would probably be good too. Maybe putting a feather over here ish. And then maybe we can wrap another motif like kind of around the side. And then I can show you too how you can go over areas. So I'm going to open this up a second. Show you what the inside looks like. So it's not the greatest, but it's okay. I'm thinking, so there's a hole there. This isn't too bad of a color. But it needs cleaned up, and then, you know, like something here, like a patch or something, a ribbon or something. I know it can be made pretty and fresh inside. A flower, maybe silk, a couple silk flowers or something. That might work. But, so I just wanted to show you a couple things here. So we'll do one more transfer over here. Like I said, I want to kind of bring one around the corner so you can see what to do in this situation and how to go over these areas. And then I also want to do a little bit of this top area. I want to cut in with a detail brush, and then I also want to use some of the gemstone mousse on the hardware. So we're almost done for tonight, but I want to angle this again. Okay, so since we're going around the corner, let's see, I don't want too much in there. Yeah, let's go for this bigger one because that way we can wrap it around the corner, and then we'll put that feather over on the other side. So that'll give me a little more asymmetry and make me a little happier. So what I plan on doing then on the other side is the same thing with the stencil and then more transfers. Okay, so I'm going to do, I'm going to do the same thing I did before and cut a little bit off the bottom just so I can envision it a little bit better and get it closer down to the bottom. I always make such a mess on Tuesday Talk. And then it's, depending on how much energy I have left, it's usually a Wednesday morning cleanup. And usually I share my finished projects that I didn't have time to finish on social media. So on my Instagram page and on my community tab on YouTube, that's when I share those. So can you see what I'm doing here? So I wrap this around this corner. So I'm going to get the stick and get some of this down here. Get around here and get a little bit of this attached. Now there's different ways of doing this. You can, so I have a seam here where the suitcase opens. Harlequin stencil with the golden mousse would look great on the inside lid above the pocket. You're right. That would be beautiful. I didn't even think about stenciling on the fabric. Smart girl there. You should check out Kim when she does her lives. Kim Hunter. She also has a YouTube channel. I can't say the name of your YouTube channel, Kim. You'll have to put it up there. I'm subscribed, but I can't say what it is right now. So, your Texas Vintage Addiction? Is that right? I'm sorry. Okay, that let go a little bit, but that's okay. We'll get it. Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that. See, you told me you wouldn't have thought of putting these together, and I wouldn't have thought of doing that. So we all inspire each other. So what do you guys think? Do you think this would make a good class? You'll have to let me know for anybody that's watching on workshops. Okay, this is really tricky over here because I'm putting the transfer over 2 rows of stitching and this little seam. So we just really have to make sure that we have it burnished very well. So if I had a razor blade, I could take it through the backing paper and everything. But what I can do is when I pull it off, I can do it very carefully. I actually don't have a blade with me. I have scissors, but I'll make it work. Because when you take the backing paper off, the transfer that's left is very, very fragile and flimsy, but you can easily cut it with the scissor blade. You just have to be careful that you don't want to, get it ragged. So again, I have these rows of stitches over here to get this stuck on. So does anybody have any exciting New Year's Eve plans? If anybody's, I was able to see them, but I was going to say I haven't seen a YouTube comment for a while, but I did see some earlier. So, but yeah, if you have any exciting YouTube plans, let me know. Yeah, YouTube plans, New Year plans. We'll probably be staying home. Just, I guess we're getting old. Okay, so you probably can't see me here. You're looking for a movie to watch, Mary Beth. We just watched A River Runs Through It. It's an old movie with Robert Redford directed it, but it had Brad Pitt in it. So, those two guys, how can you go wrong? But it's a good story. But as far as anything new, I don't know. The Yellowstone, everybody's talking about that, and I tried to watch it, and I just couldn't get into it. Yeah, my husband and I both tried, and neither one of us just didn't get involved. Okay, so here's the seam, so I'm going over that. So I'm going to be able to pull that off, and then I'll show you what it looks like and how we deal with that. Okay, surprisingly, this is just lifting right off of where that seam was. I'm probably going to have to burnish it a little bit further after the paper releases, just with my fingers, just to make sure it's down. Okay, so let's get this side. So this is a little bit tricky, so it takes a little bit longer, so thank you for being patient and hanging in there with me. Okay, we're getting there. All right, so I'm going to turn this around so you can see. I hope you can see. But so we've got all this stitching here, and I just want to really go over that with my fingers just to make sure it's in there. But here's where we need to be careful, this seam. So I'm just going to open up my scissors. I should probably get a blade, but I'm just going to open up my scissors and just carefully score that. Just going to kind of use my fingernail and make sure it's down in there. Burnish it a little bit more, and here's the telltale. We'll find out if it opens right. Hey, we did okay. Okay, I'm just going to use my finger and just go over those edges. Okay, that looks nice. I like it. These latches, it's like you just want to close it, but you have to pull that little thing over. I can't imagine carrying suitcases like this again. All right, so let's just put that little feather over here. And then we're going to just work on the top part of it. Well, Mary Beth, if you find something interesting, let us know. All right, so I'm just going to kind of go over here with this. Again, just kind of overlapping that a little bit. And just doing the asymmetric thing. And of course I had to take it around the corner, and here we are again with the seams. Oh yeah, Tamara says you're inspiring my creativity tonight. That's awesome. I love it when someone says that. that makes me feel good. A lot of great products that, you know, inspire, but it's always nice to see, you know, how different people use them. And I'm always using things kind of a little unconventionally, at least I try to anyway. Okay, so I love the way that looks. Really love that. Now, if you wanted to, you could come in with a glaze or some wax, but I kind of think we have a lot going on here, and I like it. So let's And again, we'll be doing the back some more and a little bit more on the sides, but let's work on this area just a little bit because I just want you to see how pretty this gold is going to be on there. But before we do that, we're going to go back to the silk, and I just want to just cut in a little bit around those edges. So I'm just using a, well, let's see. It's just a couple flat brushes here. This one's a little bit bigger. I might use this little one just to go around the hardware. Okay, so just using the flat edge of that brush just to cut in around the outside of this hardware. And I won't do the whole thing, but I just think that in order to show you the gold, I think you need to see it on against the color. So that's why we're doing this. And the nice thing is whenever you get any on there, when you're in this stage, you can just take your finger and wipe it off because it'll come right off of that. This is really serious here. Now, usually you're going to need 2 coats. I did 2 coats on the front and the sides there. Okay, and like down here, there's the little, it says fam line. So that was, I just think that's cool. So we're going to go around that, and then we'll also use the mousse on it. I just think stuff like that should be highlighted. So when you do this and you cut in around these areas, so once you get away from those areas, then you can switch to a bigger brush. So like in this section in here, we can just, switch to a bigger brush until we go back to those areas where we're real close to the hardware. So, and like I said, you can see it's going to need a second coat. And I'm also going to use this on the handle too. So, the silk. Silk is an all-in-one mineral paint, and it has the primer and the sealer already built in. Okay, so that's all I'm going to do. Just, there's no point in watching me do the rest, but I want you to see the gold now. So I'll go ahead and finish the rest of that up later, but we're going to add a little bit of that gemstone on these bling bling parts. And I'm going to get my brush back out, and I'm going to use that same stencil brush that I was using earlier. It's a nice firm brush, so it'll be perfect for this job. So I always use the baggies, so that keeps my brushes from drying out when I'm switching brushes frequently. Sometimes you might want to, bag for each color if you want, but what I usually do is like lay them down strategically so they don't all get mixed up. Okay, so again, we're just going to need a little bit, and I'm taking a little bit of it off too because I don't want too much. So I'm just kind of going to do a little dry brush in there. We no longer have the keys for this, so it doesn't matter if the lock really functions, but I don't think this little bit of paint would keep it from functioning anyway, but and we can just do this while that's closed because it really doesn't matter. But isn't it just cool how that little bit of paint just makes it pop? Are you guys seeing that? Are you able to see on the screen? Sometimes, you know, it looks different in person than it doesn't always show up. But I think you can see it. If you can, what I'm looking at, I think you can see it. So you just want to be careful when you do this that you're not getting the gold on your colored part. It's up to you what kind of brush you want to use. Oh my gosh, I love this. Okay, it's really gonna look cool on this this rating here. Just gonna dry brush it a little bit. That needs a little drop of glue underneath there so it doesn't come off. It's loose. Isn't that cool? And that's going to look so much better when it gets the second coat of paint on there. But yeah, this is, I think it's going to turn out really cute. So what do you think about glamming up a suitcase? Fun project, definitely a fun project, and something that you could use for different occasions, gift giving, bridal, just home decor. I'm just gonna pick this up and turn it around and show you again what we've got, what's in our way here, that bag. And so around the sides. All right, let me put this up a little bit so we can see each other again. So I am so glad you joined me tonight. We've been on almost an hour, and I hope that you have a really happy new year. If you join me on Thursday night, I'm going to be telling you about my New Year's goals and some of the reflections from 2021. And also then on Saturday, I have a special, so on New Year's Day, I have a special show that's coming up. It's my step-by-step, which is always a tutorial. But this was a Christmas gift for a client, and it's a really cool makeover of not a suitcase, but a trunk. Actually, Tamara saw it being worked on, but it turned out really cool, and now the surprise has already been given, so now we can show the world. So all right, well, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight. I really enjoyed having you along for the journey, and I will talk to you soon, and see you next Tuesday on Tuesday Talk, if not before. All right, Happy New Year. Bye, guys.